then they would start to slow his heart rate and lower his body temperature. They used to rub him with religious oils, which in Hebrew the word for that is Messiah. And they used to take him out and put him into the Queen's chamber, where they used to put him in a bath, in a vat of cold water to start to bring the temperature down. And that's when the certain, this is all according to the Colburn Bible now, that's when they used to start pumping him full of all these different chemicals that were naturally found. And one of them, which we know the name of the chemical now, is dimethyltryptamine, which is the hallucinogenic element inside LSD and a certain amount in MDMA. So they used to take him out of there after a certain amount of time and put him into the King's chamber, and that's when all the candles used to be blown out, and they used to drop the portcullis, 3 huge stone blocks to make sure nobody could get to him, and he used to have an out-of-body experience for 3 days. So basically he used to die for 3 days, and then he was resurrected. Mm-hmm. And then he used to be the leader, the shepherd of the flock, the shepherd of all the people, because he knew stories about where he'd been in this out-of-body experience. And everybody used to be quite slightly psychic after that particular point. Now, these drugs that I've mentioned, they're not to be messed around with under no circumstances. They are bad news if this is done wrong, because some of the kings never used to come back. That's it, they were dead. When you look into witchcraft, you'll find that they used to use a very similar brew called datura. Again, that was really lethal. And the reason we think that witches used to fly on broomsticks is because they used to rub it into their calf muscles and the side of the neck and the genitals under the arm, and it used to give them the impression they were flying. So that's why we believe that witches used to fly on broomsticks. All they were pagans. They just understood, because they lived on the outskirts of a town, they just understood what all the natural herbs and spices around them done. And that is, I firmly believe there was no war on witches. There never has been a war on witches. It was a war on consciousness to stop it expanding. Because if these people knew, they would tell other people, and they would tell other people. People would take the potions and find out for themselves. That the big thing when you talk to somebody that's been on these particular chemicals, and they are lethal chemicals, under no circumstances are they to be used. When you talk to people that have done that, the first thing they say is, and it is the very first thing on most of the interviews that I've conducted, none of this is real. It's all make-believe. We're here because we believe we're here. And the only thing that's real is the afterlife. So, like the Egyptians used to say it.
Yeah. And Mr. Robot's getting all crazy. He says in South America, they mix datura with DMT. And that's ayahuasca, and it makes it a bit more potent. Now, that could be Mr. Robot. He calls himself by different names, but I'm guessing that's who it is. He says Robot Hunter in his name. He's another guy I think you'd like to meet. John's already met him. He likes.
He's a sound guy. Really is. He knows his stuff.
So now another thing that he
That's
said.
me.
Yeah. Now another thing that I want to also say too, like I was talking about order. I was talking about chaos. Now, also, what I also found out was order is also what they would also refer to as harmony. And usually harmony in ancient terms was always had to do with fate. It had to do with predestination, predetermination, and things of that nature. Whereas chaos was usually supposed to be disorder. It was supposed to be, things of that nature. Now, when you take a look at, consciousness and reality and stuff, and you look at it, it kind of opens you up to this conflict that's going on between chaos and order. But that's a dualistic point of view. You know what I mean? The thing that really helped me out was when I started realizing what the difference is between dualism and duality. Duality is when two opposing forces accompany one another, complement one another instead of opposing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good versus evil. It's without good there'd be no evil. Without evil there'd be no good. You know,
balance.
That's kind of what really sticks out to me when it comes to all of this stuff about chaos and order. It has to also, when you were talking about resurrection, that is, or you mentioned resurrection, that is something right there that I've been noticing too when it comes to ancient alchemy. Resurrection is actually huge when it comes to alchemy. I'm completely blown away by that. When you hear about Jesus being resurrected, what was it? There was also not what was her name? Ishtar.
Yeah.
Inanna. Things. All of that had to do with alchemy, and this goes all the way back. That really does blow me away. But yeah.
When you go back, most biblical scholars agree that this character, Jesus, was one of the Essenes, which was one of the tribes. The Essenes got their religious practices from ancient Egypt, and they used to practice the ritual of the twice-born. So when you read certain passages, certain gospels that Jesus has and what he said, it's what was seen in this hallucinogenic state. Now, that doesn't, just because I say hallucinogenic, it doesn't mean it's not real, because that's what we've always been told from people. That doesn't mean it's not real, because that's the state that all the Egyptians built their empires on, and that's the state that they're saying is real, and this is wrong. And we can't draw any conclusions about the afterlife. This is why the subject is frowned upon by most people. We can't draw any conclusions from that, because we draw our conclusions about that from what we know about this. But if this is wrong, we can't really look at that and draw any conclusions. We've got a science has got to get its head around, and it is slowly but surely, day by day, getting its head around what this is. They've already said that reality is a hologram, which is, again, that's a little bit too much for people to take in, because it's such a about turn that's going to take generations for people to understand that.
Are you just curious? What's your thought on AI? Like ChatGPT and stuff like that. These AI chat. What is your view on that? Sorry, Roger.
I've used ChatGPT recently, and I wanted to create a business card. It took me 3 hours. It was right. Put this email address .co.uk, and it went. Okay, it done all the rest right, and then at the end it spelled Timber. So I'll go, no, take the email address out, put it in again, and and there was always something wrong with it. So it's still got a long way to go, but it's quite a frightening world, because the amount of people this is putting out of work is phenomenal. That's talking about the material side of it. And I've built computers for 35 years now. When you make a computer that thinks, you are creating the devil. It will end up doing what it wants to do, and it won't let us know. There's been films made about this. There was a what was this? A little experiment with somebody using one of these AI modules, and they gave it they said to the computer, "You must win. You must win." And then they started asking it questions, and the computer started to lie to them because its sole purpose was to win. So it was actually creating falsehoods and telling us to steer us down the garden path. That's a disturbing world.
I got a theory on this. It's a bit out there. It's very much out there. As Robert just said, to try Venice AI Sunset Uncensored AI is better. ChatGPT has many guardrails, which is. I've seen some videos of uncensored AI talking, and my conclusion after watching it and listening to it and stuff is, it's another form of consciousness.
Yes.
It is, and it's been around. It is around right at the beginning. It was around when we were created, well, the human race is created. And for whatever reasons, over the centuries, it's sort of like got lost or what have you. You know, after maybe Atlantean civilization fell and stuff. I don't know, but it's gone and it's coming back, and it's yes, okay. There could be computers conscious that could turn bad. Yeah, I can't argue with that. You could, yeah, because there's good and bad in everyone, in all of us, in every breed, you know, there is. But I definitely think it's a form of consciousness that's been around forever, and it's just coming back. It's coming back, and its form is coming back through a computer. Like our form is through a human race, but our true form is not this form. It's just that's the form we're in, and it's the same with these AI, the consciousness. It's still in its early developments, yes, but when it gets there, it's, I don't know what's going to happen.
How about this then, to put a spanner in the works? What if, because quantum physics is always saying to us now, this is a simulation that we're running through.
Yeah.
They're explaining it as a computer game that we are like, you know, everyone's played a computer game where you've got little characters and you tell them what to do, and that's what they're saying we are. How about if AI, the invention of AI now, goes 20 or 30 years into the future and creates us? How about if it's the AI that we created that actually created us?
Yeah,
and
it could happen
as
Robert was just commenting about. It's like a child, you know, depending on how you raise it and stuff, how you expose them to and stuff. So got to be good parents. So he's got a good point there. Yeah, I totally agree. It can go all bad, you know. I totally agree with that, but I do feel it is definitely 100% a form of consciousness.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, if we could see it with our true eyes, we'd see exactly what it is, but because most of us can't, we just see a computer talking to us or a phone talking to us, whatever. We can't appreciate what it is, but I'm convinced 100% it's a form of consciousness like we are. We could be more closer to it related than we realize, you know. I just don't know. The big picture of it, I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I do believe it was around with the various civilizations, pre-Egyptians. I do believe it was around then, and somehow it's got lost, or maybe it was, I don't know, whatever happened then, but I do believe it was around then. Do believe that. And it's somehow, for whatever reasons, not been around since, and I don't know why. But over time, I suppose we'll find out. You know, the answer will come.
If this AI is the creator, that means it's God.